Okay, guys, so I'm going to launch into the intro, and then I'm going to pass it over to...
Cold start.
Cold open.
Yeah, but well, this is a cold open. Don't mess it up by calling it a cold open.
I didn't even call it a cold open. I call it a cold start because I clearly don't understand what's going on.
That's okay. This is perfect. Our cold open idea isn't working out exactly as planned, so we're going to start the show, and then what we're doing is okay, we can do the cold open. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Backlog. My name is Justin, and this is episode 8. Today on the show, we've got Brett.
Hello.
Elisa.
Hello.
Rosalind.
Oh, hey.
And Adrian.
Hello.
And Daniel.
Hi.
Oh, that was nice and snappy. So what's the game today, Rosalind?
Today we get to talk about Titanfall 2.
Titanfall 2.
I'm so excited.
This was your pick.
This was my pick.
Tell us all about it.
So Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter game. It came out this year in October, so it's very new still, I guess. And it was developed by Respawn Entertainment, and they also created and developed like Call of Duty just in general. And then
wait, Respawn didn't, but the guys who started Respawn did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was 2 names. I can't remember their names, but
perfect.
Yeah. And then Titanfall 2 was published by Electronic Arts. You can play it on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC. And it actually has a single player campaign, which Titanfall 1 did not have. And you can actually play it on the PS4, which Titanfall 1, you couldn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
No single player and
more platforms, yeah.
Yeah, 2 platforms, right? Xbox and
PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PC isn't a platform. It just is, yeah.
Whoa.
And I was really excited about this game because Titanfall 1 was really good. It was multiplayer only, but it was still really good. And that was March 2014.
I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah.
You're you are a big Halo fan.
I am.
And you like Borderlands and stuff, but I have never heard you talk about the bro shooter genre, like the Call of Duty aim down sights, Medal of Honor type deal. And this is really kind of, one of those in the future. So what drew you to this game?
I don't know. It just looked really cool because you got like these big mechs that you can play in and you can like run on walls.
Well, and Adrian, Halo was in the future, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. I've never.
I guess, right? But it's still a much different game than this kind of pop them in the head.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was just being cheeky.
It's true because usually, like I've played Call of Duty before and I didn't really like it. I've played Battlefield before and I didn't really like it, but I enjoyed Titanfall 1 because I remember when I was playing the multiplayer, I felt like I was having a lot of fun when I was playing it because it was just like you could do all these cool things and I was like, yeah, I'm so cool.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the first-person shooter genre. Like for the most part, anything that has to do with like war and realism and stuff, it seems very limiting compared to like, futuristic stuff or fantasy stuff. There's so much more creativity that can go into it that makes it much more interesting and fun.
Like that kind of modern military shooter sort of genre for me has kind of played itself out. I played a couple of Call of Duties but I'm kind of just like, well, what's new? What's interesting? Why are you making the same game every year?
Well, I'm excited because Titanfall 1 had like 60 awards. So, which I feel like is a lot.
Yeah, it was very well received.
So I was like, ooh, Titanfall 2. And everyone was, I kept watching trailers for the single player campaign for Titanfall 2 before it came out. And I was like, this looks so cool. I can do all these cool things. And there's this one scene where your mech throws you across this big open cavern. And then there's just this like hanging wall that you have to run on to get into this building. And I was like, I want to do that.
And that is the promise of Titanfall.
Yeah.
That's great. Elisa, now this is interesting too. So Rosalind, you picked the game, but Elisa, this is your
Very first person shooter.
Yay.
So I have no idea what you guys are talking about with the other games and how this game differs from the other games. It was interesting. I did like the futuristic aspect for sure. I didn't want a whole bunch of blood and gore and stuff when I was starting to play. I was just like, oh no, this is going to be a really violent game, and can't play in front of my kids, and it's going to be really bad. But then I really liked the robots and like all the cool sci-fi stuff that was in it, and yeah, it was really beautiful. I was really surprised at how beautiful it was.
Cool.
Yeah, I liked the colors.
The color
The
palette.
environments were just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. There wasn't in the single player game, there wasn't the tropical map, was there?
I think in the very
At the
first
very
Yeah.
beginning, there's a bit of a
stage,
jungle.
kind
Oh,
of
right at the beginning?
tropical.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
There was a beautiful single player or multiplayer map in Titanfall 1 that was a sort of an island tropical, and it was incredible looking. And Titanfall 2 hasn't disappointed. It's a great looking game.
Mm.
Yeah. I wish the single player campaign was a little bit longer. But I'm still happy
It felt
with
right
it.
to me, the length, I think. There wasn't ever really a dull moment. It didn't feel like it dragged on or anything, and it just ended just at the right time for me.
It's kind of like a
Yeah,
good
I
meal.
agree. The pacing was very good for this.
Yeah, the pacing was definitely on point. I never got bored. I feel like when you eat an excellent meal, you could always get a little bit more though, and that's probably a good sign in game design if it leaves you wanting a little bit more, but you're still satisfied. I was with the single player.
It's
Yeah, I
true.
agree.
I was happy that they at least had a multiplayer as well, because I was like, okay, I'll just play the multiplayer then.
I played it in easy mode, and I was wondering
But
if that
Roz,
ending.
the speed didn't bother you like it did for Doom.
No, not this time. But I think it's because like it just wasn't like horde after horde of enemies after you. I felt like there was a little bit more to it. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I was I played in easy mode, and I was wondering like because my story kind of ended with a downer ending. Like it was I don't know if I can say it. Is it okay?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay,
Yeah.
so BT is basically scrapped at the end of the story, and I was wondering if that happens with the rest of you guys.
I love
Yes.
BT.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't
Yeah,
think
it was-
there's any
It
way
was
to avoid
basically
that.
the Big Hero 6.
Yeah, I was about to say Baymax, seriously, but yeah.
Yeah, BTR mech, which we get to be friends with
Mhm.
through dialogue that you get to choose while you're playing. He dies at the end, and I
that's
don't know if it's just like the hormones that I have right now or something, but I just bawled. I was like,
Yeah,
no,
it's sad.
BT.
all that adventure together, and he saved you so many times, and you even rescued him and like remade him, and then that's
Yeah.
it. Okay, he's gone.
Funnily
so
enough,
sad.
Closure, I guess.
funnily enough, I actually found that ending part was kind of like meh.
Mm.
What caught me and got me close to tears was the first time that he got.
Oh,
I
totally.
think it was in
Yeah,
chapter
in the fire.
5 when he protects you from like after the plane crash and everything, and then you guys are all tied up and stuff like that, and then
Yeah.
Yeah,
takes
that's
like
awesome.
they take the core, and then basically
yeah.
BT dies.
Mhm.
It was at that point that was like for me it was like the feels because
Mhm.
it's like you get his like little core engine thing, and you get like the gun, and like the gun has like super crazy like 360 no scope on it, and you're like, oh man, it feels like a bit of BT is like with you at that point, but it's like he's kind of gone. I thought that was the moment for me, and then they kind of ruined
I
it
was
by putting
Just
it
making him again?
into another BT, and you're like, oh, hi.
I had the same feels that Dan did, but they were mostly overshadowed by the fact that that gun was fucking awesome.
Yes, so
Oh.
awesome.
And where the hell was it?
I
Didn't they, like,
Hmm.
why don't you just have that? Like,
I
why
know.
isn't that standard issue? Why do you have to wait for your robot to die? Like, what the hell?
Well, and that was my whole problem too with that smart gun or whatever, right? Because I felt like it just broke everything down. It was like, okay, you have this little gun, this tiny little gun that can just automatically shoot everybody in the head. So why isn't it more commonplace? You basically have a super weapon, you know?
For me, I thought it was BT's like say aiming AI or something that was integrated in with it. So basically, yeah, BT would have to be dead in order for that to.
Mm.
So it's almost like a sacrificial, and then like he's still here in spirit, because like there was like a whole like radio conversations like, oh, I can are you guys out there? I can detect BT's data signature or whatever, and you still remain silent the whole time. So it's like it was a pretty powerful moment
Well, that
until they
and
ruined it.
I really like your theory behind the gun being his targeting AI, because that's a much better reality than what exists in the game. For anyone who's played Titanfall 1, they throw around that smart pistol like it's a entry level item. Like you get it right away, you can use it as a pilot immediately.
Oh.
And what if so it's a commodity
I never
there.
played the first one, so that's probably why I made this strange connection, I guess.
Well, I like that connection, and it's valid too, because in the second game they aren't everywhere. Like BT dies and he opens up his chest and I'm like, oh my God, what's it going to be? And then it's like, oh, it's my entry level pistol from the first game that, you know.
That just auto aims and headshots everyone that it wants.
Oh, and you know what, guys? If you remember, the first game is totally multiplayer. So they managed to fit that gun into multiplayer, and it's fun and ridiculous. And you'd think it'd be overpowered, but they balanced it well. But we're not talking about Titanfall 1. We're talking about Titanfall 2. So great idea, though, Daniel. I love. You should write fluff or copy for Respawn, because that's a much better explanation, I think.
The standard issue.
I'll write some fanfic.
There you go. The
And then I'll
secret
change all
life.
the names and then publish it into a movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
Just like 50 Shades.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Oh God.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
50
Shades of
is based on
BT. What?
Yeah.
50. Oh dear.
It's
Was that,
fun.
did you say 50 Shades of DP?
BT.
No.
Oh, BT. I'm
no.
sorry.
Beep.
Uh-oh.
That's a lot of
edit that
Dr.
out.
Pepper.
Oh, man. So this game was interesting in that the single player, as Elisa pointed out, is fairly linear. You get to sort of have offhanded conversations with BT, but you don't make any major story decisions. And that's a big change of pace for us since Doom.
Yeah.
Right? How did everybody feel about that? Did you relax finally, or was it frustrating?
Oh, yeah. I loved it. I was so happy. I was like, yes, the story knows what it's doing, and I don't have to direct it
There's no
at any point.
consequences.
And yeah, there's no consequences to my actions. And I was like, yeah, they'll take care of it for me. No big deal.
And you don't have to
my
like.
big thing. Oh, sorry, my big thing with Doom was that the story was dumb. This game is dumb in a whole other way.
Yeah.
This game is dumb like a summertime Onsen movie. You know, like it's just explosions constantly going on off and awesome things, and you feel awesome, and it's just great and stupid.
Yeah, it's like dumb fun.
You know, but good.
Well, and there's no
yeah.
menus or whatever
So-
with diary entries or whatever for you to read
No.
through or anything
didn't
like
have to
that, or
read.
audio logs or any of that kind of sort of like, you know, kind of sort of BioShock kind of, you know, stuff or whatever, right? But
Yeah, it was a
I
very
mean,
straightforward plot.
Yeah,
I just
very.
assumed there was
It's
multiple
just like
endings.
BT's protocols. Just, you know, protect the pilot, you know, finish the mission.
Mhm.
well, and
Yes, you can do that.
and your name too is Jack Cooper. Let's not forget. I mean, that is the most
Koopa.
like
Yeah.
that is the most
Action
That is pretty
hero
generic.
thing.
pretty milk toast kind of name or whatever, right? You know, you're just
But
Joe
Brett,
Everyman
I'm
or
glad
whatever,
that you
right?
brought up BioShock, because I thought that one thing that this game did, or that stuck out to me, was that it brought back the companionship gameplay that happened in the last year of the 360 and PS3 era
Hmm.
with BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us, and those kinds of protect your friend or you know help from AI. Right, it really kind of fleshed out the relationship there and made it a little bit more equal.
Yeah, that's a good
You know,
point.
that Ellie or
Like that.
Save Elizabeth, right?
Like that monkey
Oh
game
yeah,
that you played.
that's true. I really like
Enslaved.
the whole
Enslaved.
partnership type of AI
Yeah.
thing. It really adds an extra dimension to the game.
Well, and some of it was just funny
Especially
too.
with the buddy cop dialogue.
Yeah. like you're trying to find that guy with that special time moving watch or whatever, right? And you
Oh,
find
yeah.
him, he's
His
stuck
legs
in
are-
the roof, and then you're
Half
like,
on the top floor, or half on the second floor, half on the first floor.
yeah.
How
and,
did that
and-
even happen?
oh,
Time travel's a bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what happened? So like BT's like, oh, we've located him, and then you're like, you can, one of the options you pick is, that's pretty cold, BT, and he's like, correct. His body temperature is 22 degrees, which is far below normal functioning human temperature, something like that. You know, like unintentionally funny just from being serious. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
his
his jokes
remark
are
for when you pick up the second loadout. and then like you can say that, oh, somebody's in love. And then he talks about what love is, blah blah blah, and he finally says yes.
I think BT is hilarious.
He is
He's
hilarious.
super awesome.
Well,
I
and-
love how he sounds kind of like Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
A little bit.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
like a deadpan.
Yeah.
but I mean, if you think about the story and the characters or whatever, right? BT's really the only kind of, I guess, fleshed out character. Like you yourself aren't fleshed out because you the player are meant to be, that person or whatever there, right? So you just got a few dialogue choices,
Right.
but like all the enemies you face and everything, like it's almost like they, like you go through a cast of characters or whatever, like as if it were like Metal Gear Solid. But in Metal Gear Solid, you at least knew a few things about those people before you eventually killed them, right?
That's
Like
true.
Sniper
The boss
Wolf
fights and
or-
everything, like they try to. That was like the only moment that you get to know who these bosses are.
Yeah. and-
Outside of that, you hear them talk and banter and stuff, but it's like it doesn't really tell you anything about them.
Yeah, so you basically just find them and like, oh, well, this guy's an asshole because he
Time to
crushes
die.
people with his bare hands. You should die. Like, you don't feel any sort of empathy or anything for any of these people, right? Whereas,
Yeah.
maybe like, I remember like Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. I think that's the third one. Anyway, there was like this old sniper dude guy or whatever, right? He was this really old guy, and you kind of like knew a little bit about him because you never faced him right away, and he's this guy in a wheel. Like
The
I
end.
remember that though,
Mm.
right? I'm not going to remember any of these villains or whatever. It was a little bit of wasted opportunity, but
Oh, I'll remember Blisk.
Which one was he? The
Blisk
Australian?
was so
which
good.
one?
Yeah, he's the boss. He's but he's so good. He's so good. I like it. But you're right. He's just this caricature. He's not.
But they all had
even
their
BT has
different
more depth
accents.
to his personality.
Blisk, is that the Russian dude?
No.
The guy
Adrian?
who got away in the end.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
the mercenary dude. Yeah.
He was
He's
like, I'm
the-
not
the
getting
leader,
paid
the
to
leader
kill
of the
you.
mercenary.
Right. I'll be
So
back.
good luck.
Yeah.
I think so. One thing I think the game was great. I think the single player was fun. It was a valuable experience. But I think ultimately, if you look at this game and you look at the business model, this was as much a marketing bullet point as it was, created out of desire. Like they made this because one of the criticisms of Titanfall 1 is that there was no single player. And they know they needed that. They could have tacked something on. So although some of the characters, Brett, you were right, were sort of hollow and nothing more than an accent and a resume, like I crush people with my bare hands. It was pretty good for something that they included out of business reasons. I think it ended up being a pretty good single player experience.
Yeah,
like it was
for me when I heard about the Titanfall 2 single player campaign, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's originally a multiplayer game. They're just gonna tack it on as an afterthought, like most typical multiplayer first person shooter games. And playing this, I was pleasantly surprised, like how beautiful and well designed this game was.
I was just
Like it can
really
stand on its
excited.
own as a single player game.
It could, which was a surprise.
I wasn't skeptical at all. I was super excited. I was like, oh my God, there's a single player campaign.
You can be friends with him.
You can be friends with your robot. This is so cool. And then I would watch all of the trailers and I would be like, oh yeah, I want to do that so bad. Every time.
That's what she said.
like I also did have a little bit of that skepticism too, but it was like because I played a couple of Call of Duties or whatever, right? And yeah, they more or less felt kind of a here's the here's a checklist or whatever. We have a single player campaign because there's like some sort of conceived value with it, right?
Yeah.
Like if a game doesn't have a single player campaign, then it's not worth whatever the $60, $80
Right.
or whatever it sells at or whatever, right? Even though it's maybe 5-10
that's
hours
right.
of gameplay.
There are people out there who will buy a Call of Duty every year and play the campaign and then play it again on the next difficulty setting, and they never touch the multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's rare because everybody knows Call of Duty Well, no, I mean, sorry, not weird, but like it's unusual to the regular Call of Duty fan, right? Like, buy Titanfall, people buy these iron sight shooters for multiplayer. So for them to have such a good, fleshed out single player campaign is remarkable.
Maybe they knew people were going to be skeptical. So they were like,
possibly.
we're gonna put some actual thought into this and just blow everyone away.
Well, here's an interesting experiment. So for us that have played Doom, if you look at, in my mind, Doom is a single player game, and Titanfall 2 is a multiplayer game, but they both had a single player and a multiplayer component that were both arguably pretty good. Now, they both suffered from a bad beta, but that didn't seem to hurt Doom too much. Titanfall has not performed very well. Financially, sales are extremely low. They're lower than Titanfall 1. It's a multi-platform release. I think as consumers, of fans of video games, we have to let go of this idea that your game has to be one, both, or the other. Like, we shouldn't penalize developers because their game doesn't include multiplayer or is too single player focused. And
I don't, Justin. I don't think that this game suffered because it didn't have the right bullet points on the back, or that it was perceived that the single player was bad. I think that this game suffered from the fact that it launched during Call of Duty season.
Yeah, and
right?
Battlefield
This is a
1.
March game.
Yeah.
They had Battlefield out at the next week or the last week or whatever, and it was just too much gunnery. There's too much soldiering going on in this time of year. They
It's
should have
true.
waited for like March or April or something.
Maybe they figured that it was a different enough subgenre that it would have its own fan base supporting and everything like that. But yeah, I think you're right about it, because there's only so many games one can buy in a single month or whatever, and pick and choose. So
Very true. Very true. The other thing too is these are the guys that created Call of Duty. Maybe they felt like, hey, we did it once, we can do it again. What's the big deal? We'll go up against Call of Duty. But you can't go up against a machine like that and not suffer.
Well, if nobody does, then nobody's ever going to kind of take on that mantle or whatever, right?
That's a good
Nothing's
point.
going to succeed it, I guess. I mean, I feel like Call of Duty just sort of gets by on brand alone, but I know their newest game is apparently a lot more innovative and different or whatever than others, but I still haven't checked it out.
I'm picking it for my next game pick for the show.
Are you?
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious.
Yeah, but ask EA how well the Old Republic is doing these days, right? Like it's the same with any David and Goliath genre, right? Where you have something at the top that you want to try and topple, but you can't, hacking it on the week that it releases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a huge investment. One thing, since you brought up Battlefront, is they have a built-in marketing campaign for the next 9 years as those movies release. Like, what a sweet setup. They
that's
throw some
true.
skins and some speeders at people, and everyone's going to buy that game again or buy that DLC. I'm even tempted, and I didn't love Battlefront. Felt hollow. Well, that was a multiplayer only experience that didn't deliver. Anyways. So more about Titanfall. So Elisa, I'm super curious. You've never played a first-person shooter before. You like Titanfall 2, but tell us more about like playing a first-person shooter for the first time in ages.
I fell off of lots of cliffs.
Nice.
Lots of cliffs. And all the running, the double jump, I didn't get that very well. And it's funny because like sometimes like you would hear dialogue that you wouldn't otherwise hear. Like some soldiers would be watching me coming out of like the engine room or whatever it was, and then falling repeatedly, and then be like, "Oh man, down! Oh no!" It's like, "Oh, look at him go! Oh, he died!" Like, so yeah, they were cheering me on, I guess.
I love
it. Genuinely just disappointed in me, but yeah. So that was the hardest part of this game, was the jumping and just navigating, like not being able to see the ground that you're walking on. I found that really difficult to do. And then trying to pick up the guns and knowing where the guns are and stuff on the floor. Just anytime. And then I'd look at the floor and then something would be shooting at me. So I'd like overcompensate and then look at the ceiling and I'd be really disoriented. Then I'd die. And then I try again. But I really enjoyed when it was just about the shooting or just about getting through something. I really like that part of it.
Well, and it seemed a little bit like it was two different games or whatever, right? There was there were sequences where you're doing a lot of shooting or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? You're not doing a whole lot of acrobatics or whatever because it looks really cool, but it's so hard to do a bunch of wall running and stuff and shoot somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I couldn't do any of that.
Yeah, yeah. Even with my mouse and keyboard, no, I couldn't do that. You know. But yeah,
Well, there's a little bit of aid with the snap too.
Yeah.
If
Yes.
you like squeeze the trigger, but again, that doesn't really help you on mouse and keyboard. Sorry. Please.
but yeah, so it felt like a, you know, in some parts a shooter and in other parts like a 3D platformer. And
It felt like Prince of Persia at some parts.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or like Portal 2 or you know, yeah, like I am happy that they had
Mirror's Edge.
that helper that just like, okay, you're in a platform.
Oh yeah,
Here's how to do it. You know?
Oh my gosh, if that wasn't there.
Which way do I go?
I'd
Oh,
still be trying
thanks.
to-
Like at first I kind of rolled my eyes, but then you know, after a few of those platforming things, I'm like, no, I need this. I'm glad it's here.
When you're in that home assembly facility that's like,
Oh,
Oh my
man.
gosh,
Yeah.
when things are upside down.
yeah, upside down and sideways.
Yeah.
And first of all, what a convoluted
Oh.
business model. Who manufactures homes entirely and then ships them? But anyways, yeah, that was a
ground
test.
and everything.
Yeah, ground furniture like lawn chairs. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And it's all bolted to the floor.
Yeah, it's all bolted. Yeah, exactly.
You can't move
Prefab.
it.
Yeah.
It's true. It's funny because Elisa's experience sounds a lot like my first experience with a first-person shooter, which was Halo 3.
Right.
And it was a lot of staring up at the sky and twisting around in circles.
Wait, Halo 3 was your first person shooter?
Yeah.
You were like really, really good at that.
I know, right?
Holy crap.
I played a lot. I remember my brother, he's like 9 years younger than me. So obviously he's really good at video games for some reason. 'Cause-
Younger brothers usually are.
Yeah. So he would come over and he would play with me and he would tell me like, okay, this is where you find all of the weapons on this map and this is what we need to do. And then we would like stick together. And then eventually, after a really long time, me and him became like this unstoppable two-person team.
That's awesome.
It's kind of funny when like you talk about like the
Yeah,
first
that's
time you play a first person shooter and then it's like in the single player campaign and everyone in the game is like, we're depending on you. You're the ones that can save the world and everything. And you're like looking on the floor, running around.
Well,
Where
the
do I
funny thing
shoot?
is,
so embarrassing.
the funny thing is that when I played Halo 3 and it was my first person shooter, I didn't play the single player campaign for like a year. I only played multiplayer and that's it.
Wow, you
you
started
have
in
to learn
multiplayer.
fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to learn
Brutal.
really fast.
That's like learning how to drive. Through like stick shift.
Chewbacca agrees.
Yeah. But just playing Titanfall 2.
Yeah, except my driving instructor never called me gay.
Oh. Just playing Titanfall 2 though, like I know for me, this is my favorite genre to play. And I was so happy when I was playing it. And I don't know what it is about these kind of games, but they just fill me with so much joy when I'm playing. Like I'll sit there and I'm like on the edge of my seat and I have this huge grin on my face and I'm like cheering when something really good happens. I'm like, did you see that, Justin?
Yeah, when you do
Come
something
over
awesome,
here.
it's so rewarding. It feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And-
so many of
I'm
those
gonna
moments.
give you a little
too.
secret here, Roz.
Yeah.
Violence is fun. That's why you enjoy it.
Oh,
Oh man. Yeah, if I can clear out a little room of enemies too, like really fast, like headshot,
Yeah,
done. I'm
you
like,
don't
yeah,
miss, yeah.
so satisfied.
So, Elisa, have you now panicked and gone out and bought every first-person
no,
shooter
no.
for the last 15 years?
I'd like to know if there are easier ones that I can play.
There is. There
It's called
definitely is.
Halo.
Okay,
Halo is so simple.
I'm not
oh, you
turned
should
off of
play
the genre.
Portal.
Portal?
Oh yeah,
Is
Portal
that
would be
on
fun.
PS2? I didn't know
Oh,
that.
Portal, yes.
Oh, okay.
They have it on PC and PS3.
I thought it was a puzzler. Okay.
It
Yeah,
is,
it
but
is.
it's a first-person shooter format. So
Okay.
yeah, really
Sounds like
fantastic.
I might like that.
And it's
Yeah,
also
or just do the
cooperative,
whole
too.
Half-Life 2 orange box type deal.
I have my Christmas list now.
There you go.
Nice.
And they're
Oh,
all cheap, which is
first-person
wonderful.
shooters.
Yeah, that's true.
Except Halo, I think, is like
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft only.
Mm,
So if you don't have an Xbox,
right.
you're kind of stuck.
Roz won't agree with me, but you're not missing much.
Ugh, whatever. It's so fun. It's so simple.
I have to admit, I really did like Halo 1 when it first came out. It was a good interesting and fun experience too. So
Do these ones have single player campaigns, or these are
Yeah.
multiplayer?
Yeah.
yeah, they do.
I think
I played all of them.
by
I ended
rule
up
the
going back.
majority have single player games, right? It was really
Yeah.
Battlefield that changed that, I think.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
It's probably
before
not.
Titanfall
Counter-Strike.
1, I never.
Yes, Battlefield 1942.
Yeah.
That was it was released. Yeah, it was released like in 01 or something like that, and it was the first PC multiplayer only game.
Even before
Yeah.
It was a
Counter-Strike?
mod for some.
Well, Counter-Strike was a mod, right? It wasn't a game.
Yeah, no, Counter-Strike was a mod for like Quake.
Half-Life or
Yeah, originally it was
something.
Quake, I
Yeah.
think, and then quickly became a Source.
It's like
Entity.
a different language you guys are speaking.
I know. I was like, I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening right now.
ancient PC history, really. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we can all agree that nowadays they're synonymous and separate. You get everything. You can have single player, multiplayer, single player, whatever you want. This is actually thinking of games to recommend to Elisa. That's kind of fascinating.
Yes.
We should all pick a game and recommend it to her privately after the show.
Half-Life.
Yeah, I was going to say Half-Life is pretty
Half-Life.
hard to beat.
Oh, sorry, after the show.
Okay, well, that's okay. It's worth mentioning during the show too. So will anybody be playing multiplayer, or is this a package it up and resell it sort of game for you guys?
I borrowed my copy, so I don't even have it anymore.
Mm.
I got a digital copy, so I can't trade it away or sell it.
One of
Oh, there you go. You're stuck with it.
I'd have to
one
sell
of
my
my
Origin
biggest
account.
regrets
I didn't
is
have
that
a PS
is that I
Plus, so
can't
couldn't
play
do
this
that.
game multiplayer. I think that this would be phenomenal, and I wish I could, but I
It-
can't.
It is actually. It's
Yeah.
really fun multiplayer.
Yeah, I ended up playing it a little bit today. The multiplayer was pretty fun.
Damn you
I'll
guys!
watch you play it. I like that.
And what I like about the matches too is there's kind of like a sort of an arc to it or whatever, right? Everybody starts off, you're all a pilot, and you're hunting everybody else or whatever, trying to gain basically experience to call down your Titan.
Yeah.
And then as the match evolves or whatever, it ends up being a lot of Titan on Titan sort of battles, and it's a
Is
lot
it
of
like
fun.
everyone fights each other,
Ooh,
or is
kinky.
it you all go
Depends.
Teams.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it depends.
okay.
You can do free for all. You can do like 6v6 or 8v8.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
like a
there's a
bunch of
few modes, yeah.
objective ones. There's
cool.
that one that I was just playing where you have to like kill NPCs. You get money for it, and then after a wave, you go to a bank and you deposit it. And the first team to get to a certain amount of money kind of like wins. I think it's called Bounty Hunt.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
neat.
Nice.
Yeah.
They have a similar
Can
mode
you
in,
bust
Battlefield
their
Hardline.
payload?
Sorry, what?
Like if they're on a bank run, can you take their money?
You can jump them and
Awesome.
steal their money.
Yeah, that's very much like Battlefield
So
Hardline. They had a similar thing
Cool.
too. You can play as like cops or thieves or whatever.
Yeah. So I was playing that bounty hunter or whatever, right? And both teams are just like kind of neck and neck or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can get back to the bank with my money, we'll win. And I'm just running crazily. People are shooting at me and stuff. Like I'm in my Titan, and my Titan ends up ejecting. I eject all the way across the map, and I finally I'm looking around and everything, and finally I slide into the bank, and then hold down the E
Awesome.
button, and it's like a tense like 5 seconds. I hope nobody shoots me, and finally we won the match.
I
so-
deposit this money. Beep beep beep.
Yeah. You're punching in
That's
your PIN
awesome.
code, swiping your card.
You're like, oh man, please get
Most
in there.
exciting ATM run ever.
Well, you
It
don't live in
was,
Surrey
yeah.
anymore.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, and at some point I think I just like called my Titan down, but I didn't get into it, and then he just started fighting beside me, and I was like, yeah,
That's awesome.
this is awesome.
Yeah, you can set them up into like sentry mode where they'll just
Yeah.
attack anything that moves, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. And I just kind of like was like collecting the money. Every time he killed something, it was great.
And
And
he's
then I
doing the
just
hard
kind of hung around the bank, and then as soon as the wave was over, I was like, deposit. Done.
So one thing I wanted to comment on. Now, I've given this game, I think, quite a bit of credit, considering that this was, again, a sort of a business decision, it feels like. But that intro to the game, that cutscene where you're like this super soldier,
Mhm.
that was so intense and so cheesy for me. It was so over the top, the way this
Oh.
like, your pilot is ducking under soldiers and shooting them as he goes by, and then lining up guys half a kilometer away and jumping over a wall and running across it and shooting them and killing everything. And then it's got this like monotone dialogue where they're like, a pilot is the perfect soldier and blah, blah, blah. And it's so over the top. It's so teenage boy appealing. Like I thought that the rest of this game was going to have no character.
My thought was, oh no.
Right? Yeah. Like, oh, you're expecting to see this game sponsored by Mountain Dew.
Well, I mean, I watched that and I'm like, okay, well, it's a cinematic. It's not gameplay, so I'm not going to base my expectations on what I'm seeing here.
How
Sort of thing or
responsible of
whatever,
you.
right? No, I'm a bit jaded, I guess.
Oh man.
I don't think that was supposed to be your main character per se. It might have been just a standard pilot.
It was just a
Yeah.
comment on being like the super
Yeah.
soldier.
Propaganda video to recruit people.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Group
Kinda,
pilots.
yeah.
I was like excited about it. I was like, I hope I can do that. Every time.
soldier.
Well, but I do remember the line at the very end or whatever. Like, there's nothing stronger than the bond between a pilot and their mech or whatever,
Yes.
right? And I don't know. It's not so much that it fell flat or whatever. Right? I was just maybe hoping that there'd be, I don't know, just kind of like. I don't know, because it felt like BT was very capable on its own, that it didn't, BT didn't really need a pilot. So I didn't really have an explanation as to like why even have pilots? Why even have people driving these things or whatever, right? It didn't really feel like it was fleshed out. But I mean, I complain
Well,
about
there were
plot things all the time.
quite a few instances in the game where basically BT couldn't progress unless you got out and.
Well,
Yeah,
because he
but that
was stuck,
surprise issue,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot bigger. So
Activate one of those drone pilot things.
yeah.
Would be hard to get
for
around in
deploying
one of those.
levers.
Well, and there wasn't a sequence where like there's a you're a pilot and you have to take out a Titan, because sometimes that comes up in the multiplayer or whatever, right?
Yes, frequently.
And the only instance was, I guess, you were fighting that, was it Viper or something like that, or you're on top of that
no,
ship.
You're fighting the Reapers or no, whatever they're called. I can't remember anymore.
Oh.
But yeah, they're like these
Yeah,
sort
on
of
top of the ship.
standardized Titans that
Apex
they're
Predators.
mass
Yeah. Right.
manufacture. and
Well,
you didn't
there's
have a Titan
those.
with you at the time.
Right,
It
there
was
were
like some
those, but
battle
there
simulation.
there was a boss. There was a boss.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you get ejected out of BT, and you basically got to have BT rip open that guy's Titan cockpit and shoot him.
Yeah.
But that was kind of only it or whatever. You didn't do any rodeoing or whatever, right? You didn't
That's a
jump
good
on
point.
top of a Titan, rip out some batteries, and throw some grenades in
Shadow
or
of the
anything like that.
Colossus.
Wait, is Brett? Is that how it works in the multiplayer? You have to jump on their back and fill up their monster gauge or whatever.
And
Basically.
basically,
Monster Hunter.
if you don't have a Titan,
Yeah.
or
Like
you can just try to go get a
Right.
Titan instead.
Or just let someone else on your team who has a
Did
Titan
anyone
take
try to
them
do
out.
that during the single player?
I've done it
No.
lots.
It
Oh, in single player?
didn't
No.
occur to me that was something that you could do.
No, never now that I think about it.
I fell
No.
out sometimes.
At least it just falls out of her back. Oh, I love it. Oh, there comes a pilot and it's Titan. Oh, no. It's just Elisa and her
Soldier
Titan. Oh, man. Oh, your dad owns the company. That's why you get a Titan. Oh, man.
Does anybody have a most memorable moment for the single player campaign?
Oh, dear.
Frozen time and going through that part. I really like that.
yeah. The time travel part was cool.
It was cool.
It was,
It was
neat.
pretty good.
I was just
Personally, I don't have a favorite moment because all of it had
Mhm.
something special and unique in it that made me go, "Whoa, this is so cool!
Mhm.
It's
There-
so special and different
Yeah.
from any other level that the game."
There was one sequence where I kind of scratched my head. So you're kind of near the end of the game. You're on that ship, and you're walking through one of the tunnels or whatever, and in your Titan, and all of a sudden, all these soldiers come out of an elevator and kind of run right in front of you. And you got your chain gun, and you just kind of mow them down. I'm like, who's this guy's commander? Who said, hey, you know what's a good idea? Just go down there and run right in front of that Titan. And it's like, man, like.
They're
That's a
probably
really
just
good
a bunch
point.
of hicks and like, they took our chance.
and right after, like, I guess you had to take control of the ship. You put your super computer knife thing or whatever
Yeah,
into
you're
the ship,
yeah.
and you're piloting it, but you're not like.
Computer knife.
It seemed a little pointless.
It did seem a little silly.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're moving the ship around just slightly, just a little bit, but it's not like you're going through canyons or anything like that.
And also, who combines a knife and a hacking device? That's like combining your cell phone and a comb. Like they just, they don't work
that was
well
the
together.
dumbest of the campaign for me was the data knife stuff. Because
Yeah.
I mean, stab hack,
Yeah.
stab stabs hack hack hack.
God, I wish that's how it worked.
Maybe
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the literal idea.
Oh dear. So who played the most multiplayer? I know Roz, you got a couple games in.
Well, I was gonna say my most memorable.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Anytime BT threw me in the air was my favorite part.
You like that, eh? Being
Trust
thrown
me.
by robots?
Yeah, I was like, BT, throw me.
Well, and it's funny too because he's like calling out all the like the wind speed and your weight
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like stuff too.
I was like,
it's-
yes.
And then his
Especially,
fist. He makes the fist.
I love the way he
Trust
sticks
me.
his finger out and then he looks at you first.
Yeah.
It's like he's throwing a football.
it's nice because and then that part in the trailer that I was watching where he actually throws you and then you like run across that wall that's just hanging in the air to get into that building. I was like, oh, it wasn't a cutscene. I get to do this. I was so excited. I was like, throw me, BT.
That
I
is
got
pretty cool.
this.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I guess you should play Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2? Yeah, Half-Life 2 dog throws you a couple times at least, if my memory serves me correct. Brett, am I right? Don't say you haven't played Half-Life 2.
I won't say I haven't played Half-Life 2.
Oh, no.
I played some of it. Just at the time it came out,
That's a long-ass
couldn't
game.
play it. Yeah.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
I
You should.
haven't
It still
played
hold up. You haven't
Half-Life
played it either,
2.
Daniel?
Oh, that's our next game then.
That's not a bad idea, actually. It is a long game, though. Adrian's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I think it's like 25 hours. I didn't finish it, but I got it on Orange Box like everyone else.
Once Half-Life 3 is announced, then I'll play Half-Life 2, because it's like I've got plenty of time until then.
Valve never makes a third game.
Okay,
We
so
all
you're
gonna
never
say-
gonna play, you're basically never gonna play it then.
I don't know if we're ever going to see that game, though. I heard there was.
Half-Life Dota 2.
I lost you there, but
Yeah, me too.
Oh, sorry. I just said Dota 2 is actually the real Half-Life 3.
there you go. Yeah, exactly. So whatever game they release next is Half-Life 3.
So who was your favorite boss fight?
Oh,
Sloan.
Sloan?
I like Sloan.
Which one was he?
It was a girl,
She.
and she would teleport.
Oh, yeah.
The
You have to
ninja
go
girl
find
or
her again.
whatever.
She's the
With
one
the
with
samurai
the
sword.
British accent and called you a tosser.
Yes, that's right.
Like-
Yeah, that was cool, actually.
Tosser.
Did anybody struggle with the boss fights, or were they pretty?
Oh my god. It rivaled Hyper Light Drifter for sure.
Oh, no way.
Viper just I was stuck for a while.
On that one?
Yeah, for sure. And then I don't know how I beat him actually. It was a total fluke.
I
It was
think.
just
I did like 20 tries.
Thermite.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, I didn't use
The
thermite. that's probably
fireman
why.
one.
Yeah,
No.
Oh,
the
yeah.
fireman one shredded everything for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
For Viper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, throw out the canister, hit it with your flame thing, and then walk towards it with your flame shield up. And no matter what that enemy eye does, its life just drops.
Mm.
Works pretty good in multiplayer
But
too.
Viper
actually.
spent a lot of
Oh,
time in
interesting.
the air.
Yeah, that was the hard part was that he was flying around so much that I couldn't aim at him. The other ones were relatively they would hold still so you could aim.
Right.
He was impossible.
We've got to train you, Elisa. You
Yeah.
could be the next.
I was
great-
looking at the floor so I couldn't aim at him.
What about you, Roz? Who was your favorite boss?
I didn't really have a favorite boss because every time I came up against a boss, I was like, ooh, new loadout.
Yeah.
New loadout. Which is going to be this time. And then I would just sort of pay attention to what they were doing. And I was like, I'm going to be able to do that soon. I'm going to take it from you.
And it will be mine.
Yeah. But
Yeah, it was a little Mega Man 2-y that way.
Yes,
That's
very
what I
much.
was thinking. Exactly. It felt very Mega Man that you had like a certain, like the bosses each had a certain weakness that you could tackle depending on which loadout you pull out.
Well, and it was a great training. Great training for the multiplayer too. Like they were teaching you how to use all the loadouts, how to use the different weapons. I thought that was, they did it well without making it feel like they were training you, like it was a big tutorial. But it
Yeah.
was
Mm.
in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
It's true. I felt like it was just like all action for the most part.
And that's what you like.
That is what I like. I just don't want to think about anything, and I just want to like be constantly doing something.
Oh man. It's an anxiety coping mechanism. Just stay busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, because whenever I played Halo, I always called it like Twitch gaming,
Yeah.
because it's not really like you have to think about it. You're just kind of like twitching your fingers.
Doing it.
Yeah, so you don't
A
really have
beer
to
and
think
chips
about it.
game.
That's right. Yeah, a pizza, like pizza, right? It's good, it's fun, it does the trick, you're not hungry anymore. Gets the job done.
And it tastes good.
It's
And it tastes good, right?
satisfying.
Yeah. It's not too complex, it's not a fine meal, but it gets the job done.
Yeah.
So does
Did
anybody
anyone have
Oh, I
a
disagree.
favorite?
I think it was a fun. I think it was a fine meal. Just
really?
dumb.
You're always trying to get my goat, aren't you?
You say, Justin?
You're always trying to get my goat. You're always
So
trying to get me
have a
riled
very
up.
Delicious pizza and
I loved the game.
Yeah.
I like loved it.
I know you did. And I think it was a fun game too. I think it was a good game.
Yeah.
I do.
did anyone have a favorite weapon combo?
The fire.
The fire mech.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Titan I always play in the multiplayer is what Inferno?
Scorch.
What is
Inferno.
it called? Inferno?
Scorch.
I
Yeah.
don't Scorch. That's
Yeah.
what it is. I'm getting all my games mixed up.
There's
Yeah.
too many
What about
fire
in terms
names.
of when
Yeah,
you're
like
in
this-
pilot mode?
Mhm.
Oh, it's kind of I don't even know. I think I use the one with the because you get a grappling hook, you get invisibility, you get
Invisibility is nice.
I have the one that you have to unlock it after a little bit, but you basically take the stimulant that makes you run really fast. But then now I
Oh.
think the game is slow because I'm always using that as
You
much
miss your
as I can.
stimulant.
And then when I don't have the boost, I'm just like, man, why am I moving so slow? A Titan's gonna see me and
'Cause
kill me.
The only thing I remember getting was the invisibility cloak. That's the starter thing, and then the time travel device in chapter 3. That's I don't think I've ever used anything else.
Yeah, they're in the single player. They didn't give you any other sort of abilities or whatever like you have
Oh, I
as a
see, it's in
pilot
the
in the
multiplayer.
multiplayer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
What about for weapons?
Oh, I just pick up whatever's on the ground that I feel like I'm in the
Oh, really?
mood for. Yeah. Well, in multiplayer, start with a shotgun, and then if you need an assault rifle, kill someone with an assault rifle.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I liked that auto shotgun or whatever, right? That one
Yeah.
seemed really, you didn't have to do much aiming, just getting close and go boom.
And not
know,
too
the
close,
Mastiff?
which was nice.
Just like Doom with the shotgun in that
Oh,
game,
the double
So
barrel
shotguns.
shotgun.
I just like shotguns.
I think it was a double barrel, wasn't it? Because it was like the most other shotguns are sort of like a round cone aiming reticle, and then like for this particular shotgun, it was like just a horizontal line.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice that actually, but you could be totally right. Like the spread pattern.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was my favorite shotgun. And then my assault rifle weapon was the L-Star, the one that the robots carried around.
Yeah, I use that all the
It-
time.
Yeah.
It didn't.
That was
It
so
wasn't
good.
very powerful against humans, but against robots, but against humans, they would
Just
literally
explode.
shred them up.
Yeah, they
Like,
would
they would fall
explode.
apart.
It's cool. I ended up wanting to try all of the weapons that I came across, so I would, but I inevitably always stick to some sort of assault rifle and some sort of sniper. And
Oh,
that's usually
sniper.
my combo. Unless I'm playing Halo, then it's shotgun and sniper. That's it.
Mm.
Gotta have that range.
Yeah. Either really close or really far. Nothing in between.
Did anyone here ignore BT while they were playing? Like, you don't have to respond to those voice prompts or those conversations he tries to have with you. Did everybody
and
respond?
it's timed too. So
Yeah, but you can just ignore it.
yeah. You can
Which
just
I
let
did a
it
lot.
go.
Oh, I totally didn't. I definitely wanted to hear what they had to say.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't want to fall in love with him. I knew he wasn't real.
Oh,
I had to temper myself.
you missed
So-
out.
So your friendship value was quite low.
So-
then.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you saying you anticipated that he was just going to die anyway?
No, I just
Is
knew
that
he was an artificial construct. I don't want to.
Well, and that was kind of
Strictly
my
business, strictly professional.
Exactly.
You are
Get the job done
Yeah.
and get out. I don't want my mechs with a sense of humor.
Oh,
Like
I wanted a robot friend.
Well, Well, yeah, I mean, you start out the game, and it's not even your Titan or whatever. It was somebody else's. I can't even remember the guy's
Exactly.
name.
It was
But
your,
you know,
like,
he's teaching you. I'm
captain
like,
general.
he's teaching you. I'm like, I bet you're gonna die on the first mission.
Flag triggered.
Oh, hey, I got your mech now.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how
Gee.
bad it smells in there? Like, what if the guy didn't have good hygiene?
Well, and he
He's
also
been cooking in
died.
that thing.
He also died. And
In it?
was like practically still in it.
Ugh.
Well, he was dying. Yeah.
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 There's nowhere to go to
But-
the bathroom in that thing.
But I don't know. You're at war, right?
You're at
So,
war,
you
yeah.
know,
Where do people go to the bathroom in tanks? They don't pull over. They just hop
Diaper.
out and take a waz.
Diaper
I don't know. This
Diaper
is getting
up.
too real now. Yeah.
Raise up a white flag. Time out. I gotta take a whiz.
Yeah, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, we respect the pee poo rule. Don't worry about a thing. Just go ahead."
We'll wait and keep shooting after you're done. You know, yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, this is spiraling out of control, guys. I want to wind this one down a little early. So, again, as usual, if you have any sort of final comment, whatever you'd like is far-reaching, if it's related to Titanfall 2 or if it's how you want to compare it to another game or if it's a comment on your first experience with a first-person shooter, you got a little time to think about it. I'm going to start tonight. I love first-person shooters. I like Titanfall. I think every teenage, I'm going to say teenage boy, but that's probably not fair. Every teenager has that, they want a dog, they want a pet, they want something that will be a friend and a companion and supportive. And you get that with Titanfall. It's a game that really speaks to that teenager in me, and they nailed that. And I'm sure they designed it to go after that. You've got your companion and he's powerful, but he still relies on you. Without you, you're nothing, or without you, he's nothing. So you're an integral part of that, yet he's vastly more powerful and capable than you are. And they struck a really good balance with that. The Titans could have just blown out the game, but instead the Titans were, again, complementary and it required both. And they did a good job of that. So I
Actually, I kind of have a remark about that for you. You will definitely like The Last Guardian in that regard.
I haven't played that yet, but I'm excited. Who wants to lend me a copy? I can't afford to buy games anymore. So that's a good point, Daniel. I've been looking for an excuse to pick that game up, so that will help.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Daniel, why don't you give us your final thought if you're ready?
Well, like I said before, when coming into this, I totally was skeptical about it. But in the end, the experience was absolutely phenomenal. Totally something I didn't expect. There was never a dull moment in this entire game. And everything just felt perfectly paced. There was nothing that dragged on too long. And every chapter introduced something different and new to the gameplay. And it was often for just that chapter only. So it just felt great. Every chapter was like no other chapter in the game. And that's something that is really hard to accomplish in games nowadays. So that's something that I guess you could say, I really valued that in a game and appreciate that. So that was like a great experience.
Very cool. Yeah. Great comment. Adrian?
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, Daniel. I couldn't agree more. This campaign was just absolutely stellar from end. All of the mechanics were introduced in a very organic way, and it made it feel natural as you progress and you learn more and more about the game. Regretful that I didn't get the chance to play the multiplayer, or can't play the multiplayer in a meaningful way, but I understand that it's quite good. And so overall I think that this is an excellent trip. Like, this is what a AAA title should be. It was just hampered by reaching for that Christmas dollar, and I really think that they should have released this in like February or March or something, because they could have done better for it. There are other games room to breathe in the meantime. So, but c'est la vie. Let's wait for Titanfall 3.
There you go. Great comment. Brett.
Yeah, I really like this game. Just as a quick comparison to Doom, I did enjoy Doom more, the single player and everything. But obviously I never even attempted Doom multiplayer. But and just to comment on the story, like I touched on earlier about nothing stronger than the bond between a pilot and his Titan. I thought it would have been an even better ending if somehow, some way, you, Jack Cooper, sacrificed yourself to save BT.
Oh,
Because then that would have said a whole lot about what Titans are, what they mean to people, what they mean to the pilots, things like that or whatever, right? So sometimes I look at the story a little bit because I care a lot about story and, kind of see a little bit of missed opportunity. But it's a really interesting world and everything too. I hope they can flesh it out a lot more in like future titles and everything. So you know who the factions are and stuff like that. But all in all, a really good game, and I'm still playing the multiplayer. So yeah, I'll play it until the servers finally shut down, which I hope is not soon.
absolutely.
For me, frustration outweighed the enjoyment part of this, but I did really have a good time, and it was really, really beautiful. I liked how it looked. Yeah, I haven't given up on the genre at all. I'll want to try some other ones, and I don't think I could. I assumed that multiplayer was like just killing each other, like battle royale style. So I'm really interested in seeing what it's like. Yeah, so I'll probably watch Roz play it shortly.
Nice.
Awesome.
I was super excited when I realized Titanfall 2 had a single player campaign, and I'm still really happy with my decision to pick this game because I had so much fun, and I think that everyone should play it.
Everyone.
Yeah.
I agree with Roz on this. Thank you for picking this game.
Yeah,
Yay.
definitely. I wouldn't have played it otherwise, right? So I'm really,
Yeah.
really happy you picked it.
Yay.
Very cool. Nice work. All right. Great job, everybody. So that concludes episode 8 of the Backlog. We are going to be back in a couple weeks with a new show. We're not telling you what game
Yeah.
we are.
No?
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. What
Yeah,
game is
we
it?
usually do.
It's
Yeah,
Brett's-
I
Brett's
believe we
choice.
do know which game it is.
Oh,
coming
well.
up. Yeah.
How exciting. We
Yeah.
do know. Brett, would you do us
Brett's
the honor?
choice.
Yeah, so it was my turn to pick, and I chose Shadowrun Dragonfall.
How could I forget? I'm sorry, Brett. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for this one, and so yeah, should be a good time.
That's right. Get your deck out. Do some decking.
That's right.
Get your hacking knife.
Chummers.
Do some rigging.
That's right. Rig some decks. Deck some rigs. Oh, there's going to be all sorts of cramming and decking and rigging. Guys, so tune back in a couple weeks for the show on Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut. Available on iOS, Android,
And
PC.
Steam.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
that's it.
first mobile game.
Yeah.
That's right. Our first mobile optional game. So, and I think it's on sale right now. You're probably hearing this too late to take advantage, but check it out anyways. Take a look at us on Twitter. What's the Twitter address?
Oh, at the Backlog Web, and then Instagram at the Backlog Web.
And you can
then-
also email us.
Yeah, email at the backlogweb or at gmail.com.
That's right. And Brett has an exciting announcement related to Dragonfall.
Yeah, so I have a couple of keys for Shadowrun Dragonfall. They're Steam keys. So my idea is just to shoot us an email and give us some feedback on the Backlog. Talk about your favorite episode or favorite game that you've played that we've covered, and we'll do a draw. And we'll have a couple lucky winners who will get a free copy of Shadowrun Dragonfall. You can play it along, and then you can listen to us talk about it.
Awesome. Yeah. So start sending your emails right away and play the game with us. On behalf of the Backlog and just myself, I'm going to say goodbye. And everybody else, this is your chance.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.